All right. Well, welcome everyone. We're so happy to have you here at the Truth About TC seminar series. Today, it is Home Cooking Made Simple, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Amy Shey Jacobs. I'm here as a representative of the Light of Life Foundation for Thyroid Cancer. I'd love to welcome you all from wherever you may be today, and especially my mother, Joan Shey, who is the founder of the Light of Life Foundation, where I have served as a board member since I was 17 years old, so for many, many, many years. We are so happy to be here today for the Light of Life Foundation, also with our partners, ThyCa, the Thyroid Cancer Survivors Association, and our partner, AZI, and here today with the very talented Robin Selden of Marcia Selden Catering up here in Connecticut. Before we start, I'd like to make a note about questions today and comments. You can actually enter any questions you have at any time during the live event in the Q&A feature in your Zoom. And let's be mindful of FDA rules on communication. Refrain from discussions about specific drugs or therapies. This presentation is for US audiences only. The class is sponsored by AZI, and we are being paid by AZI for this program. This program is for educational disease awareness purposes. We will not be providing any clinical guidance or diagnostic advice. If you have questions about your personal health, we advise you to please speak to your doctor. Talk to your doctor before making any health-related changes to your diet or fitness. If you have questions about about any of the recipes we've discussed today, and if they are appropriate for you, please talk to your doctor. So without further ado, let's get started. I would like to welcome Robin Selden from Marcia Selden Catering. And I'd love for you to let us know a little bit about who you are, what you do, and the work that you do in the cancer community, because I think it's pretty amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here. I'm Robin Selden. I'm one of the managing partners and the executive chef of Marcia Selden Catering. We're in Stamford and we're also in New York City. I sort of grew up in this business. I was born into it, as was my brother, because at a very early age, my parents, they loved to entertain, and my mom just said she had to do this. It was her calling, even though she didn't go to school for it. So she learned by doing, and she built the most extraordinary company, which we are now a part of, and she is still here every day. We've been in business for over 40 something years. It's
Wow.
crazy, I know. And I guess I'm a party girl at heart.
Oh, well, me too.
Can't love that more. When you asked about the cancer work that I do, I'm pretty passionate about the American Cancer Society because my best friend unfortunately passed away from pancreatic cancer, and that's not what we're here to talk about now, but it kind of fueled me to get involved and to do something. And the American Cancer Society locally asked me to be a part of their board. And when I joined, I said, well, what kinds of things do you do for women? I mean, obviously, we know that there's the breast cancer events and things like that. But I said, well, what other events do you do that are just about women's wellness? And they said, none. I said, wait a minute, there has to be something nationally that you guys do. And they said, no. I said, well, as a woman, as a mother, we're the nurturers in our homes, and we're the ones that are like doing and caring, and we need to personally be reminded to take care of ourselves. So the mission basically is to empower women to take care of themselves, to do everything from get their screenings, get their teeth clean, because you can get cancer in your mouth. I mean, so anyway, I'm very passionate about it, and we've been around for 7 years. It's called Women Leading the Way to Wellness, and it's something I'm incredibly proud of. So,
well, we're so happy to have you here today. And my personal experience, I do have a thyroid condition myself. I suffer from Hashimoto's, or I live with it. I don't suffer from it. But my mother was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 1997 when I was just 17 years old. And at the time, there was no information about thyroid cancer. The internet was in its infancy. There was no Google. You couldn't Google anything about thyroid cancer, let alone what a thyroid was. And so we have spent many decades putting together some amazing programs along with our partner organizations like ThyCa. And now, Robin, we're happy to have you here. But before we get cooking, let's hear from those of you in the audience. We're going to take a quick poll. You're going to see it pop up in your Zoom, and simply check all answers that apply. We're going to ask you, what brought you here today? How satisfied are you with your current diet? What challenges do you experience when it comes to cooking? So while our team looks at what your answers are, I can tell you my challenge when it comes to cooking is time. Like by the time I get to the end of the day, I am done. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And busy working women who both work in the party and event space, it's nights and weekends, and putting together healthy meals is a challenge. And you were telling me before that you like to meal prep on Sundays, which I thought was a great tip.
Yeah, I feel that if everything is done, it makes it easy to have that wonderful salad every day for lunch. You know, if you grill a bunch of pieces of chicken or whatever you like to eat as your protein, and your salad's cut up and your veggies are cut up and it's all packaged neatly in your refrigerator, how wonderful to be able to just grab the lettuce, top it with everything. I make a big thing of dressing ahead of time, and then I have like a really healthy salad for lunch every day.
And it's kind of something you can do with your family. You know, you were telling me, you know, my kids, they like a total variety of food. They like tacos, they like pasta, they like, you know, all sorts of different things. So you were saying that like even just grilling up some turkey as a base and then using it in different ways is a great step.
Yeah, weekly, one of the tips that I'll tell you that I do personally is I buy a family pack of ground organic turkey, and I saute that and I season it very minimally. I put garlic and just a little seasoning so it's somewhat neutral. And then I put it into containers. I usually do a quart container or a pint container, which is a 2-cup container, and I freeze it. And then I use them as I need them to make different things. So I can make a sauce that has that in it, like a bolognese sauce. I do tacos out of it. I'll make a chili out of it. One of the things I love is I don't know if you guys love spaghetti squash like I do, right? I roast spaghetti squash, scrape that.
I'm not really good at like preparing squash though. I have like infamous stories about butchering squash. But so you just
it's so easy.
Prepare it.
Yeah, I put it in the bottom as a base, and then I put the turkey on top, some sauce, and bake that up, and it's almost like a lasagna or like a baked
That's
pasta.
Amazing. All right, so thank you for answering the poll today. The answers that you gave us to what brought you here today, I would say it was all of the above to learn how to make cooking easier. The thyroid cancer has made eating a challenge, and you're here to learn tasty recipes. So D, all of the above is a great answer. How satisfied are you with your current diet? I would say the majority of you, 67%, said that you're mostly satisfied and you're usually on track, but I think they're improvement, and that's what we're here to do today. And finally, what challenges do you experience? The answers, I would say the top 3 answers here: making the time to cook, which we just talked about, finding the energy to cook, and figuring out what to make. So all of these are constant challenges that we have. And certainly when my mom was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, her particular experience, it may differ from yours, but between her thyroidectomy, her post surgery treatment and recovery, her radioactive iodine treatment, and just everyday living with thyroid cancer over all these years, restricted diet, it was a challenge, honestly, to like prepare healthy recipes for yourself and your family. Many people who suffer from thyroid cancer are not just taking care of themselves, they're taking care of others around them. And certainly, for the caretaker, they have full-time jobs too. So how do we do that? How do we make life easier? That's what we're here to talk about today. And I'm super excited to get started. So Robin, let's get cooking.
I'm excited also. So we're going to get cooking today. These are 2 of my absolute favorite recipes. They're so versatile. They're both soups. And the reason I decided to do soups is because the ease of having this in your fridge, in your freezer, and making it ahead of time is amazing. Not only that, let me just turn my thing on here just to get cooking for a second. Please don't worry about writing down these recipes because they will all be published and everyone that's on here is going to get access to the recipes. So I'm just
We're going to post these
yeah.
after the event. So
right.
I love this little like single
yeah, it's my little cassette cooker. So I'm just going to throw a stick of butter in here.
And you use here today in this recipe, we use unsalted butter from
Yes.
what I understand. Okay.
So whenever we cook, we use unsalted butter because I want to be able to season whatever I'm making and season it with what I want. It's more about, I want it to taste the way I want to taste it and to put the seasonings in that I enjoy. So I'm just melting the butter right now. But what I started to say was what's wonderful about these soups also is that, that you can have these soups room temperature, you can have them warm, or you can have them hot individually on their own. But then what's really, really cool is I'm going to show you how to pour them together so that they actually sit in the same bowl with one half of it being one soup, the other half being the other soup, because they are the same consistency. They won't mix together. And then it's like a whole fun thing at your dinner table where you're asking, how are you eating yours? Are you mixing it together? Are you?
I love it. And, you know, honestly, going back to some of the answers that we received in our poll today, people, you know, outside of finding the time to cook, it's deciding what to eat. And I certainly know that in my own experience that I may not know what I want to eat until that very moment and know what I'm craving. Or, you know, it could be that I want to have 3 days of one soup, but by the third day, I'm like, please, I have it, I've made it, I don't have any more energy to make something new, but how do I doctor that up and make it a little bit more interesting and change the palate?
Well, for sure. Well, that's something that you can do simply to any of the recipes that we're making today with something as simple as switching out an onion and doing a leek, or changing it from an onion to, you know, fennel to give that little flavor of anise.
Is fennel like hard to find? Or?
No, it's in the grocery stores and it's one of my favorite vegetables. It's so delicious and it's yummy as like a crudité. You know, just eating it raw. You can shave it on a salad. You can roast it or grill it. It has a whole other flavor profile. It's really delicious. Anyway, my butter is sizzling in here. I'm going to add my diced onion. And, you know, when you're making a soup like this, you're really starting with some kind of like an onion or a shallot or leeks or something like that.
It's like a good flavor base.
Yep.
And are you caramelizing them or you're just cooking them down?
I want these to be translucent. Okay. So I don't need to get any color on them. I don't need the sugars to come out. I just want to start to see them become translucent, which means that they've almost been like blanched in a sense, so that they're not going to have that bite of a raw onion.
So is there like a certain heat that we want to be on so that it doesn't brown too much?
Yeah.
And then it gets that translucent color?
For sure. I'm on a medium heat right now. And this, I mean, listen, this could take a good 5 minutes or so, but we're going to speed it up like the magic of television.
And here we have translucent onions.
Exactly. We're just going to pretend. So anyway, you're just going to give them, I mean, it's like water boiling, right? You're not going to want to sit and labor over these. You want to just let them kind of do their thing. And so while they're doing it, once they've been all coated with the butter, at this point, which they have, I'm going to add my garlic. So now I'm adding some garlic, which I pre-chopped because I didn't need you to see me slice and dice right now.
Now with garlic and onions in the supermarket and the grocery store, sometimes you can get them already pre-cut and pre-chopped. Is that a tip that we can use at home for this kind of cooking, like when we're going through a challenging time? Or
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I do not recommend substituting a powdered garlic or, you know, in it just doesn't flavor as well as like a fresh garlic. But for sure, if you want to buy the already peeled garlic cloves and put them in a garlic press, which is exactly what I did here, it just takes less time and it's, you know, just making it simpler for you.
You know, thank you for reminding me that I own a garlic press, because I'm always like chopping the cloves of garlic, and having a garlic press is probably a
garlic press is awesome. I mean, I don't care how chefy I am and how great my knife skills are. I'm all about my garlic press. It just has that perfect consistency when you put it through there. So as you see, I'm now just sizzling away here, and you can sort of see they're starting to actually already become a little translucent, which is wonderful.
It smells so good in here.
I know. And Amy was asking me, what are other flavor profiles that you could add to this? So, as I said, leeks are another really delicious way to go. Shallots to me have that little bit of an umami taste to them, which are really delicious. It's totally cool if you want to substitute and or add that in just to add another level of flavor. It's absolutely fine and delicious. Now I'm going to add a little anise. And the reason I'm doing it now is I kind of want it to cook into the onions.
And what kind of flavor are you getting from anise for those people who are not familiar with using it?
Smell it. It has a mixture. It's like cloves and right. It's a very warm taste to it.
It feel good when you're cooking, which kind of is part of this experience. We want you to feel really nourished.
Yes.
While you're cooking, and even the sensory experience of those senses really makes you feel better.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of smells like mulling spices when you're mulling like apple cider or wine. But so that's been cooked in and incorporated. And now I'm going to add, this is so simple. You guys are going to love this recipe. Now I'm going to add my tomatoes. I am using, just for purposes of ease, 28-ounce cans that you can buy in a grocery store of diced Italian tomatoes. I buy the really good ones because they really do make a difference. And
diced, not crushed or
So if you can see in my hand, this is what they look like. It's very important that you use these. They have more body to them. They're going to give the thickness to this because there's no gluten in here. So we need to thicken it with something, and that's what these tomatoes are going to accomplish.
And is there like fiber in the skins of the tomatoes? I feel like it looks very fiber rich.
Yes. Actually, there is. Okay, so we're adding the tomatoes now.
Oh, I always say, because I plan events, that's how Robin and I know each other, is that you want to cook colorful food, right? You want to like eat the rainbow somewhat. So this is like so enticing, but it looks really healthy.
It is really healthy. And you know what's interesting? I always tell people, if you want to eat healthy, you shop the perimeter of your grocery store.
Oh.
Don't even dive into the center aisles, because that's where the processed food is. If you shop the perimeter, you've got the dairy, the cheese, the meats, and your produce. And that's all you really need. And this here is one of those recipes that, you could, by the way, if you use heirloom tomatoes in tomato season, and instead of using canned tomatoes, this is a whole other game. And this soup is so incredible with fresh tomatoes. I can't even begin to tell you.
Okay, so you use a 28-ounce can. How many tomatoes is that then? So if I'm growing tomatoes in my garden, in my pandemic garden, how many tomatoes is that generally
So
speaking?
it's really hard for me to tell you how many tomatoes because you don't know what the size is, right?
Yeah.
But a 28-ounce can of tomatoes is like 1.25 pounds. Okay, so you're going to want to weigh that. You're going to want to weigh your tomatoes, all right, on a scale, and then you'll have the correct amount. Okay, so I didn't show you because for time purposes, I didn't want to have to strain all my tomatoes, but I am straining the tomatoes and saving this juice. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. So this is my 4th can. There were 4 cans that I used here.
Delicious.
Yeah, it's so good. And now what we're going to do is, while this is kind of incorporating and starting to cook the flavors together of the garlic and the onions, which are so delicious, I'm going to rough chop some dill. Now, you probably are wondering, do I have to take these stems off? No, because this soup is a pureed soup. I have saved some fresh dill on the side, which we're going to use at the end to put into it, so that you'll actually see the bits of dill in there and taste the freshness of it. This right now is just going to get a rough chop.
And we want to use fresh dill, not dill that's in the bottle.
Yes,
dry.
Please use fresh.
Okay.
And any grocery store that you go to, you're going to be able to find this.
It's so pretty.
Yeah.
Those colors are beautiful.
And do you smell that? How aromatic it is?
The aromatics are so fresh and beautiful. And I would imagine, just taking it out of the fridge after a really long day, or maybe it's lunchtime, it reinvigorates, your palate.
Totally.
Right?
Totally. But here's my secret ingredient for this soup.
Ooh.
I know. I'm so excited to share it with you. So you can just smell how delicious this
Yeah.
smells. And I will also tell you, knock yourself out. If you don't love dill and you want to use parsley or cilantro or basil, and you happen to have that in your garden, or you just had picked that up at the store, it's totally fine. It will take it and bring it to a different level. It'll taste like a different soup and it'll be delicious.
And
Either
that's a
way.
great tip too. So if you love the soup, but you want to change up the profile week over week as you make it,
Yeah,
change the herb and suddenly you have a different experience.
absolutely.
Like cilantro is going to give you that whole Latin, Mexican,
Yeah, and at that point,
kind of vibe.
Yeah, and if you use cilantro, I would suggest using cumin or some chili powder instead of using the anise. So again, this is like a great base to a tomato soup that is totally fresh and delicious. And then we're going to add, let me just at this point just say my pot's a little small. I'm going to add some vegetable stock here. Okay.
So vegetable stock. So that's, what is like in vegetable stock? Is it a ton of different kinds
It's
of
literally when
vegetables?
we make it here. I mean, let me just back up.
Yeah.
You can buy it in the store. I obviously would buy a low salt or a no salt version. I like to make things like this soup with a vegetable stock because it just lets the vegetables speak for themselves and it doesn't add that chickeny flavor, but you can use chicken stock. So, you know, if you have chicken stock in house and that's what you're using, go for it.
Got it.
But I'm doing vegetable right now. And here's my secret ingredient. It's an orange.
I was thinking lemon, but now I understand why the orange is there.
Yeah, so citrus brings a whole other level of flavor to anything really. And oh, hi. And that's not supposed to happen.
But if it happens, it's okay.
Yeah, pick it back up and fix it again, okay? So you're gonna
Even the best chefs have mishaps in the kitchen.
Yeah, lucky me. So this is a zester. I don't know if you guys have one at home. If you don't, I really urge you to get it. I love to zest lemon rind on pasta or, you know, on roasted vegetables, in sauces, obviously in
the skin
soup.
is like the healthiest part of the citrus from
Yeah.
what I've heard. Question for you, what kind of orange are you using?
This is a navel orange.
A navel orange.
Yes. So we
Amazing.
just zested an entire orange into here. And now, because we don't want to have to start blending in front of you and making a lot of noise, I just happen to have the soup finished and blended.
Presto change a supo. That's what
Hang
we say
on.
over here in Robin's kitchen with our sous chef over here.
Thank you, Jeff.
So wonderful.
This is the soup. It's exactly this, and it's now blended.
With like a handheld immersion blender.
You can do a handheld immersion blender, or you can do just a regular blender. I urge you not to do, if you're doing it in a regular blender, you're not going to want to do it until it's cooled down a bit, because I don't know if any of you've tried that. The blender like will explode.
Right.
And believe me, it's happened to me before. So let me just give you a little look into here, because it's not finished yet. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you now that
that is
yeah,
beautiful.
it's gorgeous. Now I want to put the fresh dill into it because I want you to be able to see it.
Oh my God. Now the sense is really coming.
Well, you're going to
life.
taste it.
Oh, I get to taste it.
Yeah. Well, I need somebody here.
If you were here, you could share it with me. I do happen to eat gluten-free, and I'm so happy that this is a gluten-free recipe.
Yeah.
But I think it works for so many different lifestyles and dietary styles, as we've talked about.
Okay, let me get a clean spoon for you.
Oh goodness, I always feel so jealous of the TV anchors when they get to do this. Wonderful, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh my God, that is so good.
Right?
Yes.
And P.S. I added no salt.
No, but it's the dill is that like last
and you taste the orange
touch and the orange.
Isn't that amazing?
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that
I
is
think
a beautiful soup, and I can imagine it would taste great cold as well as at nighttime, tasting so warm and savory. It's like a hug.
Yep.
But it has a little bit of feistiness to it because it has those brighter flavors. I'm
so
it.
happy you like it.
I do love it. We may have to put that on a menu.
Okay.
sometimes.
Well, wait till you see it when it's a duet shortly.
I love a duet.
So I'm going to take a moment just to clean this up, and I'll leave this to the side because we are going to be using it after, and I'll be back in a moment while Amy talks to you.
Yes, I will happily talk to you. So I love serving a soup, especially during the season. As I mentioned, I do plan events and parties, and that is how Robin and I know each other. So often I like to serve like a trio of soups or a trio of risotto. So I think soups are a really great way to offer something different than, you know, salad greens and so on and so forth. And people really enjoy it. And you can also change it to the season. And so something like, you know, this soup would be amazing in the summer, as Robin said, when the tomatoes are really ripe and in season, but you can also have it around the holiday season, specifically also because of the color. And I think it's a great, lovely solution for chilly nights also, and chilly nights by the temperature. But I'm so excited because I know that I'm going to walk away tonight with Robin's chili recipe, but she doesn't know that yet. Okay. So with that being said, we are going to start making another soup because that's part of a duo that can either be eaten separately and made separately or frozen separately, or you're going to be able to put them together and have a whole other dining experience that looks super fun. And when my mom was going through thyroid cancer, we all tried to eat the same way. Everyone in the house ate the same way so that everyone felt included. And so but I think about the butternut squash that we tried to make as a soup once, and Mom and I definitely, that butternut squash will never forget us. So with that being said, we have memories, but they're really actually very happy memories of the meals we shared together during that difficult time. So, and now we're turning our stove top back up to medium heat again.
Okay, I'm back
we're
on
back.
medium.
Awesome.
And we're back to cook the second soup, which is another one of our absolute favorites. It has a completely different flavor profile. It's a pea soup, but it's not your typical pea soup that's made with ham hocks. And it's like, those are so unhealthy and fattening. This is like it's like eating spring in a spoon. You're going to love it.
Spring in a spoon. I love that.
Yep. So we're going to be starting off again with butter. One of the things that you should note, if you do not want to have the fat of the butter and you'd rather have a healthier fat, you can use avocado oil. You can use coconut oil. It will change the profile of this, but it would be kind of cool.
And do you cook it the same way as the base? So you heat the oil first.
The oil, and then you're just going to drop your onions in, much like we did before. So we're going to do that.
Now, do you recommend not using olive oil because of its
Oh no, I was going to say olive oil too. I love olive oil as well. All three of those suggestions that I just made are going to give you a different flavor. So like, for instance, if we went with a coconut, I could envision having some kind of a Thai taste to this pea soup. So, I might add some Thai basil to it and ginger and some lime, exactly, to brighten it up. And that would be like a whole different thing. Again, what I'm giving you here are incredible bases that you can build upon and make whatever you like in terms of the flavors that you're working with.
So was this one onion or how much onion did you just put in here?
It was about a cup and a half of onion.
And it's a yellow, it's like just a yellow white onion.
Yeah,
do you
again,
use red onions
not in soup unless I'm making an onion soup.
Oh, well that speaks volumes.
Yeah, I mean, in an onion soup, I use everything. I use red onion, sweet onion, white onion, and then I'll also do the shallot and garlic and throw all that together so that you have the different flavors that kind of mesh together.
Oh, she's teasing me now.
Yum.
Okay. So we have one onion, we have one stick of unsalted butter on medium heat, and now we're going.
And now I'm going to just take a potato and I'm going to cut it into cubes. And I want it to be kind of small cubes because I want it to cook quickly. I don't want to have to sit here and labor over it. And what the key to this is that they really need to be uniform. And the reason that is because you don't want to have a piece that has that you bite into, even though it's being pureed, that isn't cooked as well,
Got
right?
it.
So I'm talking here.
So that's how you get it to cook quickly. Because sometimes when I'm making mashed potatoes, it takes forever to get my potatoes to cook. Got it.
So I'm
Cut
gonna
the
just
potatoes.
start plopping them in.
If you have a sous chef around to help you prepare.
Speaking of
prep.
sous chefs, would you like to learn and help me cut some potatoes?
I would love to cut some potatoes.
Oh,
Put me to work, Robin.
Jeffrey, could you grab me a cutting board for Amy?
I love to get right in there.
I mean, I feel badly. She's not getting to play and have fun with me. So let's put her to work, right?
I can cut some potatoes. Let's make that happen. You give me what you think
in
I
the
need.
drawer right over there is a knife. So you just grab yourself a knife.
Wonderful. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Jeff.
Look at that. I have my own cutting board. Meanwhile, the butter and the onions smells amazing. Look at this. I will cut some potatoes. I am comfortable with this knife.
Okay, because it's very sharp.
I am good.
This isn't like your home knife.
Well,
this will cut your finger off. So
yes,
just be
I'm
careful,
sure.
Please.
However, I have heard that you should keep your knives super sharp because it's actually better.
It's actually better
for you.
to have them super sharp.
So we're dicing them up.
Yeah, we're dicing them up.
Wonderful.
Yep. And as soon as we get done with that, we'll just keep sauteing for a little while. Once again, we're trying to blanch our onions. We want them to be translucent. In this soup, I'm okay if they get a little caramelized because I actually love the flavor that it brings to the peas. So peas are generally pretty sweet.
So are you using fresh peas out of the pod? Are you?
No, I'm literally using frozen peas.
Frozen peas, everybody.
Yeah.
How easy is that? Okay, here is my diced up potato.
Drop that right in.
Oops, lost the potato.
That's okay.
There we go.
I've got you covered.
I might leave with a knife. Don't tell Robin. Okay. So we've got potato, onion, and butter.
Yes.
Okay, I can stop there because that sounds delicious.
We can just make some mashed potatoes right now, throw a little heavy cream in and bye-bye.
Excellent.
And I'm gonna, once again, I did the same thing with the garlic. I pre-chopped it. So we're gonna add the garlic in.
Amazing.
Yep. You want to add the garlic later because the problem with garlic is it burns really, really fast. So, if you add it once you've gotten everything else going, it tends not to burn.
It's funny because I intuitively put the fat in and then the garlic
and then
right
you burn
away,
the garlic.
and then I burn the garlic.
Yeah.
But it's almost like you don't put ice into a cocktail shaker when you're making the cocktail because it dilutes the cocktail. So all these things I've learned during quarantine in the last year. All right, so now this smells even better.
I know.
And then
kind of yummy. And now we're going to add some spices. So for kick, again, we're not adding salt to this, right? So I want to have some flavors that are going to bring it to life. So I'm adding a tiny little bit of cayenne pepper. It's not going to be so much that you're going to say, oh, that's heat. It just gives it a little bit of warmth. Okay.
So yeah, and cayenne is not super spicy, but it does give you a little bit of a kick.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to want to dip your finger into it and taste it.
Right.
Then it's super spicy. But
oh, but the color it gives you is so pretty too.
Gorgeous.
Again, you want to eat the colorful foods. So
exactly.
That's great.
Now, contrast to what we talked about with the tomato soup, this soup we're actually using dried tarragon. Okay, so we're going to put some dried tarragon in here. I happen to love tarragon. I love, I like a dressing for chicken salad with tarragon is so delicious. I love dip with tarragon. It's got that like béarnaise flavor to
Look
it.
At that.
Yeah. So
tarragon is one of those things that I just don't use every day. So
smell that? Do you smell it?
Oh yes, that's amazing.
This is a super aromatic soup as well. You can't even imagine how delicious this smells. I wish we could share that smell with you, but we can't. So, oh well. Next thing we're going to add are our frozen peas. So I've got 2 cups of frozen peas here. I'm just going to dump them right in.
Straight out of the
frozen,
freezer?
right
Frozen.
out of the
Look
freezer.
at that. You could not get any easier than that.
Yeah.
Take the frozen peas and put them right into
I don't
the
want to
pot.
leave any behind. They're trying to stay. in the
Now
kitchen.
this pot, is this like a special pot that, you know, is it like a stock pot? Is it
This
a
pot's a great
crusade pot?
It's a great braising pot. I actually had done a bunch of stuff. Am I allowed to say company names?
Nah, let's stick.
I was an
yeah.
influencer for a company and they gave me a bunch of gifts, and this was some of a set of these that they gave me, and because they know that our logo has red in it
Yeah.
and that
So
everything
it's like
we do.
a cast iron
Yeah.
pot that you're
Yeah.
using? Great. So,
So
you know, it's also like really good to know that you only need a few pieces of equipment, like the garlic press, a
Absolutely.
great knife, a cast iron pot, a single burner, like stovetop. If you don't have a big kitchen, you know, or you don't really use the stove, or you don't want to have to clean up the kitchen afterwards, which we all know what that's
100%.
like, you can keep your cooking surface really
yeah, and
compact.
please note, you do not need to use this kind of a pot. You can use, you know, just a regular stock pot or sauce pot. Now, again, I'm going in with vegetable stock. I just decided to make all of these soups vegetarian. Again, if you prefer to use chicken stock, you can. And this is a quart of chicken stock. I mean, of vegetable stock, sorry. You see how orange it is? It's because we make our vegetable stock with carrots and onions, and
Oh, so it just gets
you're
that,
seeing
all
the
that
carrot.
flavor from the
Yeah.
carrot.
it's kind of like, you know, when you first start with like any kind of braising of meats or things, you use that, like, we call it our holy trinity, which is a mirepoix. It's got like the carrot, the celery, and the onion. And so that's kind of what we use to make our vegetable stock. Now,
Amazing.
this is going to cook for like probably a good half an hour, because we definitely want those potatoes to cook, and as well as the peas.
on medium heat.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
And with the magic of television, turn this off. We're not really on television, but you know what I mean. We're just
We're on
pretending.
Zoomavision.
Yes.
So there we go.
I will take
so we
this.
are going to presto changeo supo again. And Robin is bringing back what is now an
The
absolutely
pureed
gorgeous
pea soup.
pea soup.
And
How did you get it so creamy? Is that like what
because this
happens with
was
the potato?
the potato. Look at that. Right? And so
Ah.
that has been pureed. And in this one, I'm going to add just a little bit of chives. One of the tricks that I do when you get a long chive is I just cut it, bend it in half.
Chives are really easy to grow also,
And then,
aren't
oh my
they?
God, they come back every year. And you just plant one plant and then they take off. So I'm just giving them a little fine chop here.
Beautiful. They're so pretty too. It's like confetti.
Yep.
Literally, like you're throwing herbal confetti on your soup.
And there we go.
I
So
love
now
it.
I've got the fresh green in here, which I love. And I want you to taste this
Beautiful.
one plain.
Oh, lucky me. I get to taste another one. I promise I'll tell
Go
you
for it.
how good it is. All right, I'm going to dip it right in there. This, I would imagine, is
need those
incredible
ladles.
cold also.
I had 2 ladles here,
Mm. Oh my God, there is so much flavor in that.
right?
That is not your everyday pea soup.
I told you.
Wow.
It's incredible.
And then the flavor keeps coming at you. Like
Now-
the tarragon, you know, like the chive, it unfolds a little bit.
This is such a complex soup. It's so amazing. And like I said, you can play with the flavors and go with a, you know, if like you went with the coconut and you did the whole Thai
yeah,
flavoring in
Thai
it, it would be amazing.
amazing.
I happen to just love it just as is. And as I said, you could serve this at a ladies' luncheon, and you could do this cold or room temperature with some gorgeous
Ooh.
grilled bread. And
But men,
olive oil.
this is not a ladies' soup.
No, I know it's not a ladies' soup. Men can have it too, but you know, I'm just
Yes,
whatever.
it is not a girly soup. It's
No.
girly in its presentation, but it definitely is going to make, it's got a lot of gusto. I
Yes,
feel
for
like.
sure.
Yeah.
Now, here's what's going to do. We're going to take this whole thing to another level. I have these 1 quart measuring cups, basically, that have a really good spout to them. If you have something like this at home, that's what you're going to use to do what I'm doing. Or you can also use a quart container that you squeeze together, which will give you like a point as
Right.
well.
You need to have like, you
You need
this
to have a point, okay, just so that it's poured. So we're gonna put the pea soup into one of them.
Now, do you recommend letting it cool down a little bit, or you can do this while it's still hot? If
You can
you're-
do this hot, and you can do
Okay.
this cold. It definitely, you need to take the chill off because you've got the fat in this soup. So it definitely, when it comes out of the refrigerator, you need to melt the butter. So that's the key. So once the butter's melted and it's, been warmed, again, as I said, it could be served room
so you might get like
temperature.
a little bit of a layer once it's in the fridge or frozen where the fat rises to the top. So you
Yes.
just cook that down and you blend it again,
No,
or
I put it in these
stir it?
pots for like 5 minutes and I just
Okay.
took the chill off.
All right, great.
So here we go. And now what I'm going to show you is how cool this can look. I have to clean myself up here. I'm a very anal chef and
here,
I like.
You can swap out with my clean
No, I'll
cutting
just
board.
do this. It's totally fine.
Wonderful.
We're just cleaning it up like so.
All
And
right.
here's what we're going to do.
Excellent.
I need my.
All right.
Okay, little tidbit. This is creme fraiche, right? Creme fraiche is equal parts heavy cream and sour cream. You mix it with a whisk, you put it in a bowl, and I know this sounds crazy, but you leave it out overnight. That comes together, it gives like a totally different flavor than sour cream. And that's what people eat on caviar and
So say that again,
it's half heavy cream and half sour cream. You whisk together,
Wow.
cover it, leave it out for 24 hours. You could also buy it in the store.
Yes, shortcut.
Shortcut, but
and you're only using a little bit of it, so it's not.
Yes.
It's just going to be an extra touch. So
Yes.
no need to feel guilty about
and
that.
one thing I want to just do to prepare myself is I want to give myself a little bit of chives so that I have a little pretty garnish, which I'm going to be able to do once we pour the soups.
So like one lesson I've learned from amazing chefs like Robin is a concept called mise en place, which is everything in its place. So when you're cooking, before you start doing that next step, you want to get yourself prepared and have it in its place and not have to like do something and then, oh, I forgot to chop the chives.
Yes.
And then come back, because when you have everything in its place, it's so much smoother.
And that is what I did here. I mean, with the exception of blending the soups on camera for you, I had everything cut except for the potatoes. I wanted us to have one little moment to slice and dice. But I had everything prepped. So again, that helps you to make your process so much easier. If you prepare any recipe that you do, follow the recipes, see what it says you need to do for each item, have that all ready, and you just dump like a food show, right?
Preparation.
Okay, so here we go. This is the coolest part. So I have my tomato soup, I have my my pea soup.
And if you have someone nearby when you're doing this, this is a great time to put an Instagram or a TikTok together.
Yeah,
so.
And you go, ooh, ah, because here we go, watch.
How fancy you are.
So
look at that,
is
a little bit of soup magic again.
A little bit of soup magic. And let me move that over. And then
wow,
whatever you want to do. So I'm going to, this is another thing. This is a chefy trick. You want to test your creme fraiche to make sure that it's going to come out. Should I do an S for Shey Jacobs?
Anytime.
Or you want a zigzag? What do we want? How about a zigzag?
A zigzag is perfect in my book.
Oh dear.
That's okay. It's like the Jackson Pollock of soups.
And then we hit it with our chives.
Beautiful, Robin.
And that is your presentation for the soups.
And look how easy that was. That didn't really take much energy to actually, like, if you reheat both soups, it's minutes to do this.
It's so easy. And I mean, look at how impressive this is. And so when we serve this at our dinner parties for our clients, I can't even tell you how much fun I have sitting in the kitchen listening. Ooh, did you eat the tomato? Did you mix it with the pea? Did you have and most people don't like to stir it together. They like to have a little of this, a little of that, or just a spoonful from the center. So
I love it.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
I want to hear what you think. So we have.
How shall I eat my special soup? I think I like mixing all my flavors. So I'm going to like diagonal my.
Oh, look at you go.
Look at that. I'm very adventurous.
Technique.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Right?
And the cayenne, that little kick of cayenne is perfect. And look, it continues to look beautiful with each time you make it. I love it.
And then, I have
like, have another bite.
I have like little bowls here, so I can just show you, if you're doing a dinner party or you want to have like a little amuse-bouche, just like a small taste of something at the beginning, throw it in a small bowl. It doesn't have to be a whole full portion. And again, you just want to make sure you're pouring at the same speed And if you have an aversion to the cream and you don't want it, just
Look
hit
how,
it with the chives or put some fresh dill and
like
and there
maybe
you
you have
go.
this for lunch and you have this for dinner, you know, a larger portion. That's beautiful.
Isn't that great?
I love it. And you can like toast off some bread and
Yeah,
Yeah.
bread is always good with this.
some bread good with everything.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
So.
everything was incredible, delicious, easy. And with that, we're going to start wrapping up. And Robin, I cannot thank you enough
My
for
pleasure.
being here today. And you should all follow her at Marcia Selden Catering. I'd also like to thank Azai, our partner in the Truth About TC campaign, as well as our partner foundation, ThyCa, and the Light of Life Foundation for Thyroid Cancer. And of course, all of you at home, our viewers, thank you for being here today. We hope you enjoyed it. For more information, head to the Light of Life Foundation and ThyCa cookbooks. We do have tons of patient-approved recipes, and you can also search the community cookbook from the Truth About TC campaign, and we'll post all of these links and recipes from today on our Facebook pages, our social media pages, and we'll be posting that after the event. A few final notes. If questions were not answered, we'll do our best to get back to you and respond offline. Please do talk to your doctor about any questions you have related to your health. And this event is going to be available on demand in the future. So don't worry, you can go back and watch it again when you need to, or share it with family and friends. And please join our conversation by using the hashtag TruthAboutTC. Goodbye. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Healthy eating and have a great night.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, good job.